everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Another Angle. My name is Natalia, and you might know me from our social media. It's my first time hosting our podcast, and I'm very excited about it. But I'm even more excited to have a chat with Natalie.
Thank you for having me.
It was really great to go through your website, and what I found really interesting was your videos. They were following me through the whole journey on your website, and I was
Yeah.
finding it so difficult not to go to my fridge. It was looking so delicious. We'll get into it, but first I have a very important questions for you. Is Carol Baskin guilty?
I think so for sure.
You think
I
she's
think
guilty?
she
Okay.
definitely killed her husband.
We are on the same page. I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, maybe let's start with something that I didn't mention. You are doing great. You lost a lot of weight.
Yes.
How did this happen? Like, how did your whole journey start? Because that's something that I feel many of our listeners are struggling with. They're trying to lose weight, they're trying to get into this healthy habits, healthy life, but they are really, really struggling.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I started in September, so it's been like 7 or 8 months. I've lost 70 pounds. And I did that I started off doing a Whole30, and then I transitioned it into like a clean version of keto using Whole30 ingredients. And what started it was, so I'm a mom. I have two little boys. My oldest just turned 4.5, and my youngest is almost 2. And I just kind of fell into that same trap that a lot of moms fall into, where when you have kids, it's a lot more demanding of your time than you realize before you had kids. And I was just pouring a lot of my time and energy into the kids. And I just kind of I didn't make my health a top priority. And my firstborn was born, he had a couple birth defects in his feet. They're all fixable. He was born with a condition called club feet, where his feet were turned the wrong way. So he had to do a lot of casting and surgeries when he was first born, and it was really a hard time. So I was turning to food a lot for comfort at the end of the day. And it felt great in the short term, but in the long run, it wasn't helping me a lot. And so I definitely gained a lot of weight. And now it's years later. At the time, I was just doing the best that I could. But now, years later, I knew that I could do a lot better. I can handle a lot more. And we were going into who's going to need another surgery that he just had in January. And when I booked the surgery, I knew this was going to be our toughest surgery and recovery yet. And rather than turning to food, I decided to shift my entire health into lean more into being healthy, so that I could be the best mom that I could be and have more energy and just really get my mind right and get everything in line. So I started in September, and what I do is I call it clean keto. So I eat really high fat and then medium protein and then low carb. And by doing that, I was able to lose weight really easily. My body responds really well to low carb. I also started jogging just 30 minutes a day, and I'm not the fastest jogger at all. I'm a very slow jogger, but I did that so much more for my mental health and just to put me on the path of being disciplined. So I've been doing that. And then, though I was shocked at how quickly the weight came off in the beginning, like my first month, I lost 17 pounds, which was, it's really, it kickstarts you into being like, wow, this really does work, and it's worth it when you see fast results like that. So then I stuck with it, and I started sharing about it more on my Instagram, and everyone was so curious and wanted to jump on board. So I've just been sharing my whole weight loss journey. And then now here we are months later, and with everything going on with COVID and everything, I've never been more grateful that I made those changes when I did, because now I just know that you never want to take your health for granted. It's so important, like, to take care of your body, and then your body will take care of you.
That's so important. I think that in general, like speaking to friends or to other people, I feel like the COVID situation got us thinking about our health and about our choices in life. I feel like it's a time for us to actually like take a step back and just to look at our life choices from a different perspective. But
Yeah.
what I'm really curious about the whole transformation, was it from day to day, or did you plan for it ahead? Like, how did it happen exactly?
So I'm 5'9", and my highest weight that I know for sure was 255 pounds. And that was right after my oldest came out of his third round of surgeries. And whenever times are really stressful, I would just comfort myself with food. So when I booked his surgery at the end of August, he was going to be in full leg cast for like a month, and then he'd have to learn to walk again. When he's 4, it was a lot harder than when he was like 1. And so I knew this was gonna be a super tough surgery, and so that, like, was the biggest kickstart into being like, "I have to do so much better now I have a second child." I just felt like I had to toughen up and really prepare because I feel like as the mom, you're definitely like the temperature setting for the home, like whatever mood and vibe that I'm giving off, the whole family goes off of that. So I knew that I wanted to just be really positive and really upbeat for my son while he was doing all this recovery. And it was just the best motivator to do well and to stick with it, just thinking about what he was going to be going through with the surgery. It was like, well, if he can do this and he can be tough, then I can definitely like not eat that cookie, or I can go for this jog, or I can do better. And I think that that really just translated into him having a really great recovery. He's doing great now. And I'm so glad that I did that. And the bonus was along the way, I've just been able to motivate so many of my followers on Instagram, just showing them that, yeah, you can do hard things, but you can also make time as a mom. You can make time for yourself and make your health a priority. And it makes you a better mom and a better wife and a better friend in every way.
You can just change your whole surroundings about how you treating yourself, how you're taking care of yourself, and that's I think that's really really
Yeah.
really great. This got me thinking because you've mentioned you are on the keto diet, right?
Yeah.
I've actually tried this diet 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I think that it was not completely right for me because I felt like I started it from day to day. I've tried to stick to it, but not sure where the reason is. Maybe my body loves just carbs so much that I
Yeah.
just couldn't, I couldn't get used to it. My mood was changing from minute to minute on this diet.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to know a bit more about the Whole30 diet because that's something that I've never seen before. Before I've actually reached out to you, got really interested in it because I've seen the recipes. They look so delicious and it really interested me. Maybe that's something that I could try that could be better for me than keto. Why don't you tell us a bit more about the Whole30 diet and then also about the keto experience?
Yeah, so I started off my health journey with Whole30. I'd done multiple rounds in the past. So if you've never heard of Whole30, it's basically a program designed to teach you to how to have a healthy relationship with food. I like to describe it as like clean eating boot camp where you eliminate so many foods. So you basically only eat meat and then nuts and then healthy fats. So just like olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, sesame seed oil, and then you can have ghee because the lactose is removed from the ghee, and then any fruits and vegetables. So what you're not eating is you're not eating any grain, you're not eating anything processed, you're not eating any sweeteners at all, even honey. The only sweetener you can have is dates, like dried dates. You can have or add into sauces, and you're not having any dairy, things like that. So you're really just eliminating everything. And it's a great time to teach you how to read food labels and be aware of what the ingredients in your food. And it's also a way for you to notice what foods your body thrives on. So by removing most of the foods that cause inflammation or any issues with digestion for an entire 30 days, it allows your body to reset. And then at the end of the 30 days, oh, and also no alcohol at all. So, and so at the end of the 30 days, you do what's called reintroduction, where you'll introduce one food group. So let's say you'll introduce grain. So maybe you'll have like oatmeal for a meal, and then you'll wait 2 days and you'll notice any changes in your body. So you'll see how you feel, if it makes you feel more sluggish, if you have any digestion issues. So this way you can know what foods going forward your body thrives on the most. But it is a very intense program. So it's only designed just to be for those 30 days. A lot of people, they usually do it in January, like it's a great reset after the holidays when we're all indulging in all of the fun food. And I usually do it every January. And then after the 30 days going forward, you try to just, they call it food freedom, where you just make healthy choices and you lean into the foods that your body thrives on the most. So that's where I first learned so much about knowing about the ingredients, like avoiding preservatives. So when I went into keto, when I was first looking at recipes for ketos, a lot of the things that I saw like on Instagram and Pinterest, I was kind of turned off by how it just looked like so greasy and not that healthy. It didn't seem like it was very vegetable focused. It seemed like it was all just hamburger patties with a bunch of cheese melted on it. And I mean, eating that way, if you do well with low carb, you can lose weight, but I knew that I wouldn't feel that great eating that way. So I combined the low carb, high fat approach of keto with eating good, clean ingredients. So I personally do a dairy free keto. So I try and avoid all dairy. And so I'm basically doing a Whole30, but just keeping it very high fat, low carb. So I get a lot of my fat from nut butters or sauces. Like I make a dairy free pesto or a chimichurri sauce or salad dressings that use a lot of olive oil or the cooking fat that I use. Like I'm not afraid to use a good amount of ghee when I'm sauteing my vegetables because having a lot of high fat will satiate you. When you're eating this way, you never feel hungry. It's weird because before when you're eating carbs, I would get a lot of the crash where I'm like, "Oh, I'm starving. I can't wait for my next meal." But now I'll go and I'll be like, "Oh, it's like noon. I should probably eat lunch." So I'm never feeling starving, but I'm always like, "Oh yeah, I could eat." And then you just go through the day with a much more steady hunger feeling. So it gives you a lot more energy and it works really great for the way that my body thrives on food.
I've noticed for the last few years that people, like the specialists, they got us believe that fats are bad, that fats make us gain weight, that they were not really mentioning too much about sugars. It was more fat based. So if you want to be more healthy, if you want to lose weight, cut the fat. But we've learned that it's actually not true at all. Fat can actually help you lose weight, help you get your health back, and it's the sugar which is actually harming you. So do you think that we can trust what we've been told?
Yeah, it's so interesting. Now, I can only just go off of, like, the research that I've done and the way that my body feels when I've been eating this way. So I remember it was so big, like, when I was growing up back in the '90s, like, fat was the enemy, everything was, like, low fat.
Yeah.
So you would always just feel so hungry, and it would get you craving more. Because a lot of the time when you're removing fat, like, let's say in milk, when you take whole milk versus non-fat milk. When you take away a lot of the fat, you're left with so much more of the sugar content. And that's when you get the crash because when you have a bunch of sugar, you'll peak, but then you'll crash again and you're always chasing the energy that you need. Your body will learn to thrive. It'll get your fuel from the sugar. And sugar is a very fast burning resource. Like it comes and goes really quickly. Whereas when you eat high fat, fat is like a slow burn, so it'll give you energy, like, for a much longer period of time, and it's also great when you get into ketosis where your body is no longer using sugar and carbs for fuel, but it's using fat. That's how you're able to lose weight so quickly because your body will start burning off the fat that you eat from food, and then it'll start burning off the fat that your body has stored for its energy, and the hard thing about keto is the first, like, week or 2 as you're transitioning from like carb fuel to fat fueled, you feel almost sick because your whole body is detoxing and you get so tired. They call it the keto flu. You almost feel like you have the flu, where you just feel kind of achy. You get headaches a lot of the time because when you're detoxing from sugar, you get like that headache that you get when you don't have caffeine, things like that, because your body's like craving it. And so a lot of people get turned off by that feeling where they're like, "Oh, I feel horrible," but it's really just your body telling you like, "Yeah, we're detoxing all of the sugar that you've been thriving on," and then you switch over to being fat fueled. And then it's like once you're past the keto flu, you feel amazing. Like you have so much energy. You just can go the whole day and feel so much better.
Yeah, I feel like in my case, the flu was taking too long,
Yeah.
and I was actually almost trying the keto diet for 2 months, and I was feeling like the flu is taking the whole 2 months, and it's not getting better, and it was just, I feel like it would be good for me to try it again because maybe my approach at that time was not right. Maybe I was doing something bad, or maybe it would be better to switch from some products to alternatives because maybe it's not the diet, it's just the products that I was consuming
Yeah.
at that time. They were not right for me. So, yeah, maybe I will give it a go again. But
Mhm.
definitely, Whole30, this sounds really interesting. Do you think it is possible to go through the Whole30 diet being a vegetarian or a vegan?
Yeah, I know that there are a lot of people who do a plant-based Whole30 where it would actually be very easy because you're just focusing on good high quality fruits and vegetables and nuts. A lot of people rely so much on processed and pre-made and prepackaged food for their meals. So you do a whole bunch more cooking when you eat this way because you're buying I'm really big on being like a one ingredient household where instead of me, like, I don't buy pre-made mayonnaise. I make my own mayonnaise using egg and avocado oil and lemon juice. And I do that with like I make almost everything, like all of my dressings and my nut butters. I make it all from the ingredients. So that way I know exactly what's in there. It tastes so much better. It's cheaper. And I also get a lot of satisfaction out of like making things with my hands. Like you appreciate the food so much more than when you're just buying it off of the shelf. So you can definitely do a Whole30 if you're vegetarian. They also do that for keto. I think there is a book, I think it's called Ketotarian, where they do a plant-based approach to keto. The thing, it's interesting, like everybody's body thrives differently on different eating approaches. So there is no one right way. Like keto for me, I know that my body does well with this. I enjoy eating like pasture raised meats. I love eating tons of vegetables. So this was an easy transition for me. But don't feel bad if this isn't the exact path for you. You can try tons of different ways. I know a lot of my followers do really well with plant-based. They prefer that eating method. So it's best to always find what feels best for you and brings you joy and what feels the most natural fit for your eating style.
Definitely, I think that's the most important thing, to find your fit, to find what is best for you, for your body, because we can listen to people saying, "Oh, this diet is great for me, you should try it. This diet is great for me, you should try it." But then at the end, we are so different, we're so unique, so
Yeah.
we all need to find our way to it. Now, what's really interesting on your website as well, what I found, I really love the idea that you're showing all your groceries, how you're shopping, you're showing the bills, like how it all works. It's so great to see it, you know.
Yeah.
You're showing other people how it's done and how they can also take care of their health and their nutrition, also their whole families, because I guess it's not only you on this healthy
Yeah.
eating, right? It's probably
Yeah.
your families with you on it.
Yeah, so my husband eats the exact same that I do, and my kids, I do make small tweaks for my boys when I'm cooking. So, for instance, they don't eat keto all the time, but I am really big on them eating clean ingredients. So, if I were to make dinner, I may make them like a side of rice, like organic white rice that I know that they love, and they're growing boys, and they don't need to be worrying too much about their weight right now. So they're fine eating rice. Or I give them a lot of fruit. I personally don't eat, even though I love fruit so much, fruit is really high carb. So I'll have berries every now and then, but I don't have a ton of fruit. But my kids have tons of fruit. I buy a lot of fruit for them. So I make little adjustments to make the main thing that I'm making for dinner to make it good for them. So let's say like I'm making my keto meatballs. I'll make it using zucchini noodles for me and my husband, but then I'll make it with I'll boil off some organic whole wheat spaghetti that the kids will have, and they get a little bit more excited about that rather than eating zucchini noodles. But it's great. It's actually taught them to be really healthy eaters. I think that kids really mimic what they see. So
Oh,
when they
yes.
us eating really healthy, they don't even question it. And we all eat dinner together. Mealtime is with the family, and they do so much more. They mimic what they see rather than what we say. So I don't want to just tell them to be healthy eaters. I want them to see it. And then when they see how much my husband and I love the food, they love eating like their meatballs or all. They're helping me their vegetables. They do pretty good.
That's so true. Like I remember at my home, there was always chocolate somewhere hidden, you know, in one of the shelves. And I see myself doing exactly the same. I feel like
Yes.
we are learning it from home, the way we eat. Of course, we can change it throughout the years, but it's so much easier if your family was keeping this healthy diet, this healthy, just the whole lifestyle, then it's so much easier for you to actually proceed with it in the future. And also, I've seen that you are going toxic free. Now, what does it actually mean?
Yes, that is something else that I'm really big about. So I don't only wanna it's not only important for me to be eating really good high quality ingredients. So, for instance, like all the vegetables that I buy, I try to always get organic. I'm really particular about the meat that I buy. I want it to be like hormone and antibiotic free and pasture raised and eat a natural diet. So, for instance, the cows, I like to get 100% grass fed beef. But not only do I wanna be eating healthy ingredients, I also wanna make sure that what I'm cooking it in, is toxic free. So I don't use any nonstick pans or any aluminum, things like that, 'cause if I'm spending all this money on organic, vegetables, but then I cook it in a nonstick pan and all of the chemicals still get into the food, it's kinda defeating the purpose. So I went through my whole kitchen and I purged anything that had any toxic chemicals in it, which I was kind of surprised how much it did. So I don't have any more plastic, which is in so many things, even like my waffle maker, like all those little things you
Yeah.
don't think about, it's in there. And I changed all my cookware to nonstick. So my favorite is my cast iron skillet. Cast iron is totally toxic free. It's actually a great source of iron. A little bit of the iron gets into your food, which is a great mineral that your body needs. And for I have some ceramic coated cookware. Stainless steel is a great option. That's completely toxic free. And I'm also big on the products that I use. So like my makeup and our body, like our soaps, all of that, shampoo and conditioner and deodorant is a big one. I switched all of that to toxic free ingredients just so that my whole body is avoiding all chemicals as much as possible.
Did you notice any changes in your body, like outside of the healthy eating, of course, but just from letting go of the toxic stuff?
Yeah, I think so. It wasn't like a feeling like right away where I was like, "Oh, I can totally tell a difference." It's actually funny. There's so many great toxic-free products that it's very easy to make the switch. It's like if I can get a deodorant that works just as great that is aluminum free and made with all natural products, works just as good, why wouldn't I get that rather than getting the chemical products? But it was more about just being like in tune with my body and trying to take really good care of it, like treating my body like it's my temple and wanting to have the most optimal health. It was more about never worrying about the long-term effects of what I'm doing is what I noticed the most, is never stressing like, "Oh, I really, I shouldn't." It's also better for the planet. A lot of these products, like soap especially and laundry detergent, a lot of that can be harmful when it's, leaching into the earth. I just feel a lot better and a lot less guilt when I'm making these choices. I feel like it's the best for my body and my family and the earth.
That was really great. Thank you very much for joining me on this podcast, Natalie. It was a real pleasure to speak to you. I
Yeah.
think that you are doing something really great and that you're motivating other people to change their eating habits. I wish you all the best and all your lovely boys all the best. And to all of you who want to see what Natalie's been up to, you can follow Natalie on Instagram at tasteslovely and the website also tasteslovely.com.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Hey there! Thank you for listening to another Angle podcast. We are releasing a new episode every Tuesday, so stay tuned and stay safe.